What I want to talk about today for a moment is something we've passed by it a little bit in a few earlier shows, but I ran into it again this morning in a consulting scenario that I was talking with some people about, and there was a leader there that asked the question, um, "How do you go about the process of becoming emotionally healthy or whole?" if you don't know how to do that? And it's a good question. Emotional health, a lot of times people, particularly on the performance, people in the business and all that kind of stuff, they, oh, emotions, that's for wusses, or, that's psychobabble, or, you got to get tough and all this. But I work with high performers, and I mean, CEOs of global public companies, for example, and other high performers. And I'm telling you, most of that work at the higher end of performance is really about their own emotional management, emotional regulation, and being able to use the positive emotions that they have and can generate, and not letting the negative ones derail them. And even in negotiations and decision making and all of that, how the role of our emotions come into making us better. And so it's really, really important. So when you start to ask the question, well, how do you become emotionally healthy, emotionally mature, emotionally whole, as we would say? Well, think about this. And not a lot of people think about this, but it's something we need to think about. And that is this: when you build anything, when you build anything, how do you do it? You have to have some sort of a structure to build the process itself, to build whatever you're building. For example, when you frame a house, that's what you do. You pour down the slab, and then you 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 build this structure. It's a frame to the house. But to build the frame, what do? They put scaffolding up to structure the building of the structure. Now your personality, your makeup, that's the structure of who you are. That's how you're built. It's how you're glued together. But that doesn't come along into existence without some sort of structured process to build that. So I want to talk a little bit about the role of structure in becoming emotionally healthy. Now, basically, when we think about structure, what we're really talking about is we're really talking about time and place, for one thing. We structure our lives according to time and place, and, the structure of days and nights and weeks and seasons. And we have structures of, this is a training structure or routine or boot camp, or the structure of certain activities that we're going to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until we get it down. All of that structure, what it is it's a path. Now I'm sitting here in our backyard, and there's some plants around here. We've got some citrus trees, and they're up and they're thriving now and they're producing fruit. But when they were little, or you take the roses or whatever, some of the, probably the bougainvillea, and what do you have a lattice, you have a structure, so it can grow and shape and form in a certain way. That's what discipline does. It's a structured process. How many of you have ever thought about the structured process to become emotionally healthy? And think about that. If you're going to get in shape, trainer sits down and you come up with a structured process. If you're going to get joint replacement surgery, which I'm headed for, I got to get a good knee, they have a structured rehab process to get that, healthy again. If you're going to learn a discipline, you're going to become a doctor, there's a structured curriculum and training process. Your emotional health is exactly the same way. So think about it. How about at a time and a place to start with? Why don't you add the structure of, I'm going to have a week, or I'm going to have a time, an hour or something once every week where I sit down with somebody professionally, or maybe even a friend or a coach or a mentor or a layperson. I sit down in a structured place every week, and I process how I'm processing life. I look at my thinking, I look at my feelings. That's one exercise in the structure. How about a group that I go to, or a couples group if you're married, or an individual group, or a recovery group, or a structured reading path? See, getting our equipment to where it can process and regulate life and perform well emotionally takes a structure to the process, just like anything else. Just like anything else. So, what I'd like for you is think about a structured process. It's different for everybody, it's different at different seasons in life. When I was in training, for example, and I in graduate school, I think I had 4 different things I had to do all the time. I had to go to individual therapy, I had group therapy, I had a lab that was a processing lab about all the stuff that you were going through and all this. And then there were, some other kind of more informational structured growth kind of things we had to go to. Very, very structured program. I continued that after graduate school. I continued with the same individual therapist for about 15 years. I would have to drive an hour and a half one way to get there. It was that important to me. It was that much of an investment. I had a small group that we were together about 12 years. And then after I got married, we are in a couples group that's been together for about 15 years, and other kinds of things. So I'm telling you all that I'm not saying, "Woo, I did a good job." That's not what I mean. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be walking around healthy as at least as I am. I mean, I don't know the picture of health, but emotionally, but I'm happy, and my life's working, and from a time when it wasn't. And I've written about this and going through deep depression and stuff. Without the structured process like that, I don't know if I would have made it. It's important. So I'm waving the flag up here, not only as a psychologist, but as somebody that's had to walk through a lot of stuff and be healed and all of that. I'm just sharing with you the way that it works. So don't be on the self-help program. Get you a path, get you a plan. Boundaries.me is a pretty good piece of that plan for those of you who need a structured set of things to go think about and work on. There's lots of stuff out there available. You can ask your friends, what do they do? But just treat your emotional health like something that should be invested in with time and energy and resources, because it will pay dividends that you can't even come close to imagining. Okay?